In this video, we are going over how much sleep you actually need as a footballer. We all know sleep is incredibly important, but how much is the ideal amount for a football player, a player who is doing something that's very demanding? And also, I'm going to not only be telling you how much sleep you need, I'm going to be showing you how you can actually get deep, longer sleep that helps your body be a better athlete. So that's coming up next. Hi everyone, welcome to the video. My name is Dave and this is Simply Soccer. If you're new to the channel, we release videos every single week to help you improve your game and stand out on the pitch. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss any of the videos that we release. Now we're covering a bit of a different topic today because usually we do tutorials or things of that nature with the ball. But today I want to go over something that's very important for you as an athlete, and that has to do with sleep. And the fact of the matter is most people, and therefore probably a lot of athletes, are not sleeping in a way that's setting themselves up to win. And so today I have a lot of stuff I want to cover with you on how much sleep is the ideal amount of sleep for a footballer. We're going to be looking at examples from other footballers and other athletes, how much sleep they get, and the thinking behind it. And then I'm also going to give you a technique that I personally use where I use this and sleep like a baby every single night because of it. I get deep, good quality sleep because of this. And again, as an athlete, this is so valuable for so many things, which we're going to get into. So let's hop right into it without further ado. And so the first thing you want to know about sleep is the importance of the quality of sleep and the amount. You see, a lot of people think, oh, if I sleep 8 hours, that must mean that I'm getting enough sleep and it's good. But not necessarily. If you're not getting deep sleep, if you're not getting good quality sleep, and we'll go over what that means later, if you're not getting that, then you could sleep for 16 hours and it won't matter if you're only getting shallow sleep, not that much deep sleep, you're not going through the whole sleep cycle, then it really doesn't matter how much sleep you're getting because the quality of your sleep is very, very poor. So you have to think of this in terms of quality and quantity, because you could have 4 hours of quality sleep, and that might be really good actually for a normal person. There are people who can sleep with 4 to 5 hours of good deep sleep and be ready for the rest of the day and be absolutely fine. But as an athlete, that's not usually enough time to allow your body to recover and to repair. And you'll find, especially after a rigorous training session or after a match especially, your body's not going to allow you to sleep that little if you're doing the right things. So let's take a look at some famous athletes and what their sleep schedules are. And we're choosing some of the best of the best. We're not just looking at any athlete. We're going to look at some of the best athletes in their sport. So let's start off with Ronaldo. Now, I've heard different stories that he actually sleeps around 10 hours. But in an article, he said he gets at least minimum 8 hours of sleep, but he also naps very frequently, which means he's getting even more of that sleep during the day to enhance the repair and the rebuilding that he needs, his body needs to recover. And so Ronaldo, again, at bare minimum gets 8. I would think he probably gets more. I think he gets more around 10, and I've heard reports that's also what he gets, but at least 8 at minimum. So that's kind of a good bar to set. At minimum, 8 hours a night is what you want to aim for. And if you can't do that all the time, it's okay, but consistently, you really need at least those 8 hours of sleep. However, there are athletes who take it even further. And let's take a look at two athletes who are at the top of their sports. You look at Federer and LeBron, both guys who are getting into their more advanced years in their sport, like Ronaldo. I don't know how old LeBron is. He might be mid-30s. Federer, I think, is getting closer to 40. Ronaldo's, of course, 35. And yet these guys are still at the top of their game. They're still incredible in their sports. You know, I think Federer is still in the top 5 in tennis. I mean, last I checked, LeBron is still, doing incredible things in the NBA. Ronaldo, obviously, is playing for Juventus, winning Scudettos, and probably will be challenging for all trophies, still one of the best players in the world. And sleep is actually going to be a big factor in that, in their recovery, their repair, and everything else. So Federer and LeBron get this sleep, and I mean deliberately go for this every single night, 11 to 12 hours every single night. Federer even says that he sleeps 11 to 12 hours and it just doesn't feel right if he doesn't. And this is a huge secret to longevity in sports as well, guys, because again, if you're sleeping in a deep, good quality sleep for 11 to 12 hours, it gives your body that much more time to repair and recover and then be able to operate at its full capacity when you're training or playing in matches. Again, maybe 11 to 12 isn't what you want. Again, Ronaldo says minimum 8. I'm going to say probably around 10 is probably what he gets most of the time, but there's a good range for you to think of. This is what famous athletes, high-level athletes that really know how to take care of their body, this is how they are sleeping or how much they are sleeping. So let's get into, before we go over some of my techniques, and they're not just my techniques, they're techniques I've picked up that help me to get just good quality sleep every night, something we've been doing recently that's just been amazing. And it will also allow you to do other things like add more stretching and other things into your routine. But let's first look at why it's so important to sleep. What happens while you're sleeping that's so important? Why can't I just stay awake all of the time? Well, guys, you have to understand that there's a yin and a yang to almost everything you do. So if you're exerting energy, if you're going out there and training, there needs to be a period of rebuilding and there needs to be a period of rest. And that's what sleep does. Sleep allows your body to recover from whatever you did during the day, or just reset, rebuild, and do the things it needs to do while you're just pretty much unconscious, not able to interfere. Essentially, when you sleep, you're getting out of your body's way so that it can go in there and repair a lot of the damage you may have been done, or enhance a lot of the things that you've given it to work with. For example, eating well, working out, it can then take that and be like, okay, let's make him stronger, let's rebuild him, let's help him recover, all that fun stuff. So the main reason is to rebuild, recover, and repair. When you're sleeping, especially if you're in deep sleep, which is when you're in what's called theta and delta brainwave states, that's when you're in deep sleep. Delta brainwave state, when you're in that, it's actually considered super recovery mode. I mean, that's not like an official term, but essentially you are recovering and repairing your body is more than it ever will when it's in this mode. And so the more you can get into deep sleep, the more you can access delta brain waves, which is when your body's just going to recover like crazy. And again, that's why you need your quality of sleep to be good, and we're going to get into that. You might be sleeping and never hitting delta, and that might be why you're waking up with aches and pains all of the time if you experience that. Now, you still might wake up with aches and pains if you get that level of sleep, because again, if you're especially a footballer and you're active and you're really putting in good training, it's just a very demanding sport. So that's going to happen. That might be why, certain athletes get even more sleep to really encourage more of that repairing process. But still, rebuild, recover, repair. Now, what happens when you have a lack of sleep? What happens when you don't get enough sleep? Now, there are many other things, like you're not going to be able to focus. You're going to be kind of phasing in and out of reality, stuff of that nature, right? Your focus isn't going to be good. You don't want to play tired either. You'll be sluggish. Your reaction times go down. But also from a physical standpoint, you're going to have a lot of fatigue. You're going to have a lot of aches and pains that weren't able to be recovered overnight. And you're going to increase the likelihood that you injure yourself, especially if you have a demanding schedule as a footballer, which a lot of you probably do. Maybe not right now, but when things are open, you will. If you're on a good team that trains all the time and you do your own individual training, you're going to need a lot of recovery and a lot of repair, right? And so if you're not getting good sleep, you are missing out on the best thing you can do to recover. Yes, guys, you need to be stretching, and you can do ice baths, and you can, especially eat well, and all these things that will help the recovery process. But the thing that's going to help your body recover the most, repair and rebuild, is your sleep. Most of it happens in this period. Think about it. If you're sleeping well and you're getting 8 to even 12 hours of sleep a night, that is the perfect opportunity for your body to just slow everything down and to focus on the repair, on not needing to be in that wakefulness state, which takes energy, by the way, guys. But now that energy can be allocated to repairing, rebuilding, recovering, and all of that stuff. And that is why it is essential, if you're not getting good sleep, you're not getting enough sleep at the moment, that you really, really get this down. Because if you don't, again, you're just fighting an uphill battle. You're making it more likely you're going to get injured. You're going to be waking up with aches and pains, which is going to maybe demotivate you to go out and train. Or maybe you shouldn't even be training because you're at that point where your body's just, it needs the rest. So you really need to make sure you get a hold of this, because it's just going to hold you back as a player and really just in everyday life. You know, no one likes to go through life in a tired state, and it's unnecessary if you get deep, good quality sleep. So that's the reasoning behind it. That's what famous people do. That's why it's important. So great. You're thinking, well, that's fantastic. How do I get deep sleep? A lot of people don't get deep sleep. A lot of people don't know how. And so I'm going to show you or tell you how. This is something I do, and I kid you not, since I've been doing this, I fall asleep within 5 minutes almost every night. I fall asleep early, like 8:30, 9 o'clock every night. And even though if I don't try and fall asleep that early, I still do just because of this. Again, you can adapt this, and we'll talk about that, to your own schedule. But this is an amazing strategy. So the strategy I use is called the candle technique. I don't know if there's another name for it. I just call it that because for obvious reasons that you're going to find out. And so what happened is there was one night where I figured, you know, I've always had a bit of trouble with my sleep, and usually it would just end up with me getting up later in the day because I struggled. I would toss and turn in bed. I struggled to get into a tired state. And so one night I went, what if I just started following the flow of life, and when the sun went down, when the natural light that we are programmed to be connected to, when that goes down and is not around anymore, what if I did the same? I turned off all lights in the house, all screens, anything that emitted light, and instead used candles, right? Think about like 100, 200, 300 years ago when, 200 years ago when we didn't have electricity or anything of that nature, you know, people would have used candles to light up a room or anything else. And I kind of got me wondering, would those people have struggled to sleep? I feel like they wouldn't have. And it's actually true that when you have a lot of artificial light on, guys, what happens is you are releasing certain chemicals in your brain that is telling your body it's time to be awake. That's what happens when the sun comes up. That's why if you get into a more natural circadian rhythm, you'll find you're probably rising with the sun and getting tired when the sun goes down. Because when the sun goes down and there's no more light, your brain releases what's called melatonin. I'm sure you've heard of it. Some people supplement it, but you actually produce it naturally. And when the light or the sun is up, you produce other chemicals that make you more alert, that basically communicate to your body. It's just a communication with your body that, oh, it's not time to sleep, it's time to be active. And so when you have lights on everywhere, when you are consuming artificial light, whether it's a TV screen, a computer screen, a phone screen, just normal lights, your body is getting signals that it's time to be awake, and you are always going to struggle to sleep if you have done that recently before bed or are trying to sleep like that while in bed. Now, it's not impossible. You can still fall asleep with lights on. However, this is when the quality of sleep comes into effect. Because of the chemicals being released by your body, because that you so recently have communicated chemically to your body that it's time to be awake and you're falling asleep, you're not going to get into those deep states of sleep that easily. And you're probably going to always be in this shallow sleep because your body's going to be like, well, the light's still up. We probably need to at any moment wake up or something of that nature. So it's not good to fall asleep soon after having consumed light or with light on around you. Again, it's not impossible. If you're tired enough, it'll happen. Some people will watch TV until midnight and then fall asleep because their body literally will just knock them out. Will just be like, you know, we gotta sleep. You know, I don't know why there's light right now. I guess the sun's still up, but oh well, we're just gonna have to bite the bullet on this one and fall asleep. And so what you do, guys, is just pretty much at 7 o'clock every night, we turn off all the lights and I'll even get one of the candles we use. We just use these little tea light candles, and you can use any candles. We're actually gonna go buy some better ones than this, but you just use those, you put them around the house so you can see, and you start getting acclimated to the candlelight, but the melatonin then gets to be released. And again, we do this an hour or two before we actually end up falling asleep, which will be around 8:30 and 9. We'll do stretching and other things to look after our body before we sleep. Again, we're not on any screens. We're not watching stuff on Netflix. No light whatsoever except the candlelight. And we sleep like babies. And I mean, we go to bed and we fall asleep immediately. We wake up between maybe 5 and 7, I found is the average. So we get a lot of sleep. And also we wake up pretty early so that we get a head start on the day feeling refreshed. And so I can't recommend this technique enough, guys. It just works. When I first started doing it, I thought I was gonna have to ease my way into it, you know, get used to it. And I'd be like, okay, so probably the first few nights I won't sleep that well like normal, and then I'll just get used to it the more I do it. No, I just fell into the rhythm, and the first night I used this technique, slept like a baby that night immediately. It did not take long at all. Actually, it didn't take any time at all to get used to this. Now, maybe you'll be different, but I recommend trying it. It works and is amazing. Now, early to early just means try going to bed earlier and waking up earlier. And if you're doing this technique, the candle technique, what I found is that just ends up happening naturally because you think of how we are biologically. We are biologically programmed to rise with the sun and start to wind down as the sun goes down. That's just how we're biologically programmed. And so if you just tap into that natural flow and rhythm, you will be getting tired around 7, 8, and probably really tired by 9 something. And then rising, probably between 5 and 7, at the time the sun comes up or shortly after. And so I find that to be very beneficial. Ronaldo, he does that as well. He likes to go to bed early and get up early. He's on record saying that. And one other thing, guys, because I can hear the amount of protest that's coming through the comments already, is like, well, what if I have practice at 8 p.m.? What if I have a game that's really late under the lights? Guys, you adapt. You do this normally when you can. You make that the routine, and then you adapt. Like the other night, I went out and played football until like about 8 p.m. So that's later. I didn't get home until about 8 p.m. So we just adapted. I went and showered, I ate, and then I think by 8:30 we had the candles on. And I still fell asleep by 10. So it doesn't really matter. You can get home at 10 p.m. after having a match or something and just do what you need to do. Put the candles lights on as soon as you can, and then just allow the natural process of life to take over. So there's really no excuse to be like, well, I'm just not going to do it because sometimes I have a practice that's late at night. No, guys, you make this the normal, and then you adapt if your schedule calls for you to adapt, right? So it might be, again, you have something going on late at night, so you're obviously going to be consuming light. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying don't do the things you want to do or have to do, like, oh, I can't go to practice now. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just adapt to the circumstances you're presented with, but understand that this technique works. And so if you need better sleep, and guess what, guys? Sleep is one of the most important things you need. Again, you really should be prioritizing your sleep. So instead of going out maybe at 9 p.m. to the bar or going out and, just whatever, maybe you should prioritize the sleep instead. And again, that's only going to help you as an athlete. Again, I'm not living your life for you, so that's up to you, but it just simply works. And guys, that's how much sleep you need to get as a footballer. We gave you a range of how much and also how to get that sleep. And this is very simple. I made it simple because this is a very simple process. And when I did the very simple thing of the candlelight technique, it worked. Because usually when you just get in rhythm with life, get in rhythm with the natural flow of your body, it ends up being a very good thing for you. So guys, I recommend you apply what you learned in this video. At least walk away from this video understanding how important your sleep is as an athlete and as a person. Like, even if you're not an athlete, it's still incredibly important. You just need more of it usually when you're an athlete because you need to recover, you need to repair, you need to rest. You're breaking down your body, especially footballers, guys. It's a very demanding sport. You need to be strong in so many different areas. You're doing a lot of running, quick movements. There's so much that goes into it that really depletes you, and you need that restorative process of sleep to gain back that energy, to build everything back up. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Again, a bit of a different video today, but something I find that is very, very important, and I'll see you in the next video.